goodness, neighbors. You could practically feel the earth shift on its axis, couldn't you? I mean, grab your tea, grab the whole pot, and maybe something stronger because we need to sit down and process this. You could almost feel the internet tilt sideways the moment Thomas Markle Jr. stepped in front of that camera. It wasn't just an interview. It was a primal scream. His eyes were blazing, his voice was cracking, and he looked like a man who was absolutely done. Done with the silence, done with the excuses, and done with what he called Meghan's cold-as-ice abandonment. And just like that, the entire drama surrounding Meghan Markle and her father burst open again, louder, messier, and frankly more heartbreaking than ever before. We have all had our opinions. We have all made our jokes about the Markle sparkle and the circus that seems to follow this woman everywhere she goes. But this is different. This hits differently. Now, I know you guys are excited for more. But before we delve into further discussion, if you haven't subscribed, I mean, come on guys, what are you waiting for? Hit like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell sap. So now for months, we heard the rumors swirling quietly in the background, didn't we? Little whispers about Thomas Markle Sr.'s declining health, careful mentions from friends of the family that he was experiencing serious complications. And then came the reports that frankly, none of us wanted to believe were true, that he had undergone a major operation resulting in the loss of one of his legs. A leg. We are talking about an elderly man, alone in Mexico, facing a life-altering amputation. The public didn't know whether to be shocked, angry, or just deeply sad. But what added gasoline to the fire, what turned this tragedy into a global scandal, was the idea that Meghan, his own daughter, the woman who preaches about compassion and humanity from her multi-million-dollar pulpit, wasn't there. Not a visit, not a phone call, not even a message. According to Thomas Jr., the silence from Montecito was deafening. So when Thomas Jr. stood there staring straight into the camera and said his piece, the entire world froze. People leaned in. He did not hold anything back. He started by reminding everyone that his father wasn't some nameless figure on the sidelines of Meghan's story. He was the man who raised her. He was the one who worked grueling shifts, lighting sets in Hollywood, so his little princess could have the best education. He was the guy who made sure she had everything she ever dreamed of. He talked about how their father put her through school, took her to auditions, printed scripts for her when she was just a teenager trying to make it. That same man, he said, had been left behind like yesterday's trash the moment Meghan married into the royal world. And the way he said it, neighbors, the way his voice wavered on certain words but sharpened on others, made the whole thing feel raw. It was almost uncomfortable to watch, but that was the point. It was supposed to be uncomfortable. The truth usually is. I think I called this quite a bit ago, didn't I? I told you it was coming. People online were already fuming, echoing Thomas Jr.'s frustration. How could she not reach out? How could she not show even the tiniest shred of compassion? Especially after reports claimed her father was dealing with the emotional and physical toll of losing a limb. Even people who normally defend Meghan, the ones who usually scream racism or misogyny every time she is criticized, were quiet this time. Very quiet. Because how do you defend this? How do you defend a daughter ignoring her father when he is lying in a hospital bed with one leg? You can't. There is no spin for this. There is no PR strategy that makes this look good. But the part that sent shockwaves through every corner of the internet was when Thomas Jr. insisted flat out, no hesitation, that Meghan knew about their father's condition long before the story broke publicly. Let that sink in. According to him, the family tried reaching out through every avenue they could think of. Emails, old phone numbers, mutual contacts, even PR representatives. And what did they get? Nothing. No response. Not even a message received. He said it felt like Meghan had built a wall so high and so impenetrable that not even a family crisis could get through. You could practically hear the collective gasp online. It paints a picture of someone so cold, so calculated, that it chills you to the bone. Then he went further, and this is where he really tore the mask off. He accused Meghan of caring more about red carpets than family, more about Netflix deals than her own blood, and more about shaping her brand than acknowledging the man who made her life possible. And while you could debate whether he was being too harsh or simply heartbroken, there was no denying that his words hit home for millions who had watched this father-daughter relationship crumble for years. It resonated because we all know family is complicated, but we also know there is a line, and Meghan seems to have not just crossed that line, but erased it entirely. What made the moment even more explosive was that Thomas Jr. wasn't speaking softly or diplomatically like the royals usually do. He wasn't wearing a tailored suit or reading from a carefully curated statement written by a team of lawyers. He looked like a man who had had enough, a man who watched his father struggling while the world praised a daughter who, in his view, abandoned him. And here's where things got even more intense. He claimed that Meghan's silence wasn't accidental, it was deliberate, that she had decided long ago that her image mattered more than the family she left behind, that reconnecting would bring too much baggage into her carefully polished public persona. Whether that is true or not, the accusation landed like a grenade. People immediately flocked to social media, digging up old interviews, old comments, old stories that hinted at a father-daughter bond that once seemed unbreakable. They resurfaced the handwritten letters, the old photos from Meghan's childhood, the birthday cards, the glittery school projects Thomas Sr. helped her build. And as they compared those memories to the icy silence now, the contrast was devastating. It was like looking at two different people. The Meghan who loved her daddy, and the Duchess of Montecito who doesn't know him. Then came the wildfire question burning across the internet. If Meghan could fly across continents for celebrity events, for movie premieres, for PR opportunities, why couldn't she show up for her own father in the middle of a medical crisis? She flew to Uvalde to take photos with grieving families she didn't know. She flew to Germany for Invictus. She flies private jets like they are taxis. But a flight to see her sick father? Impossible. That single question turned into an avalanche of discussions, debates, and furious threads. Meanwhile, Thomas Jr. kept talking. He said his father still hoped, still prayed that Meghan would reach out, even if it was just a message. He said the emotional toll had been as devastating as the physical one, and he didn't sugarcoat the heartbreak. He painted a portrait of a man who still spoke lovingly about a daughter who no longer acknowledged his existence. Many viewers couldn't help but feel the weight in his voice. And honestly, it makes you wonder what kind of heart beats in Meghan's chest. Is it made of stone? Is it purely mechanical? Commentators, analysts, body language experts, everyone jumped in. Some argued that Meghan had endured years of media harassment and family betrayal, so maybe distance was her way of protecting herself. But let's be real here. Regardless of past conflicts, the moment a parent is seriously ill, everything else should pause. That is what decent people do. That is what human beings do. But we are realizing more and more that Meghan operates on a different operating system than the rest of us. One where people are disposable once they serve their purpose. This wasn't just a family squabble anymore. This was a global spectacle, one that touched on loyalty, responsibility, and the unspoken expectations of fame. And in the middle of it all stood Meghan Markle herself. Silent, composed, photographed laughing at glamorous events while online commentary raged like wildfire around her. The question now wasn't just, will she respond? It was, has she gone too far to ever repair this? As the dust settled from Thomas Jr.'s explosive interview, the public waited. We watched. We wondered if Meghan would break her silence. But she didn't. Not a statement. Not a spokesperson's comment. Not even the usual vague sources close to Meghan popping up to soften the narrative. Nothing. And that silence was louder than any denial she could have given. People began revisiting all the old timelines, the moments leading up to the royal wedding, the staged paparazzi photos, the infamous letter to her father that later became headline news. Suddenly, the past didn't feel so far away. It felt painfully relevant, and the speculation machine started spinning again. Some people swore Meghan would respond eventually, that she couldn't ignore something this big. Others said she wouldn't budge an inch. She never turned back once she made a decision. It is the discard phase of the narcissist's playbook, plain and simple. And let's talk about the hypocrisy of it all. Meghan and Harry's brand is built on compassion, healing, mental health, and emotional connection. That is what they sell. That is what they preach in their podcasts and their documentaries. And yet, the optics of abandoning a seriously ill parent completely destroy that narrative. It exposes it as a fraud. How can you lecture the world on kindness when you treat your own flesh and blood like this? Twitter was ruthless. TikTok was merciless. Reddit was on fire. People dug up every old interview where Meghan talked about being a champion for family and contrasted that with the footage of Thomas Sr. alone in hospital beds. The emotional whiplash was brutal. But as the world piled on, something else started bubbling up. Where was Harry in all this? Here was a man who spoke openly about losing his mother, about the trauma of absence, about the importance of support and connection. Here was a man who had talked endlessly about rebuilding healthy family dynamics, and yet he was seemingly standing by as his wife's father's health crisis played out on the world stage without a word. People began questioning whether Harry had ever reached out privately, whether he'd encouraged Meghan to take the high road, whether he even knew the full extent of what was happening. Or is he just so brainwashed, so under her thumb, that he nods along and agrees that her father is dangerous? Think about the contrast with the real royals. Think about Prince William and Princess Catherine. When Catherine's family faces anything, they circle the wagons. They are a unit. When King Charles was diagnosed with cancer, William stepped up. He supported his father. He balanced his duty to the crown with his duty to his family. Even Harry, for all his faults, flew over for 12 minutes to see Charles. But Meghan? She can't be bothered. And Harry, the brainwashed lapdog, just sits there in Montecito, watching this happen. It makes you wonder what goes through his mind. Does he fear that one day, when he is no longer useful, he will be the one alone in a hospital bed while she ignores his calls? Insiders speculated that Harry was exhausted, emotionally stretched thin, torn between loyalty to his wife and the uncomfortable moral weight of real-life consequences. One source even suggested he was haunted by the fear of repeating the cycle of regret he felt over not doing more for his own mother. And whether that was true or just rumor, it intensified the narrative. People began imagining Harry sitting in their Montecito home, scrolling through the avalanche of headlines, watching the interviews, reading the comments, and seeing the compassion that Thomas was getting while Meghan faced a rising tide of criticism. They wondered what that must do to a marriage already under tremendous strain. The pressure mounted when new reports claimed the palace was watching closely. Of course they are. King Charles and Queen Camilla, despite everything, value family. They must be privately appalled. Not because they want the drama, but because they understand better than anyone how short life can be. They understand duty, and they understand that you don't kick a man when he is down. But Meghan, she seems to revel in it, or at least she is indifferent to it, which might be worse. But the real question, the one nobody could answer, was whether Meghan would eventually say or do something to repair what little was left of her relationship with her father, or whether this entire debacle would become yet another story she simply walked away from. And the problem with silence, especially when rumors spread like wildfire, is that it creates a vacuum, and the world will fill that vacuum with anything it can get, even if it's nothing more than speculation shaped into outrage. The longer Meghan said nothing, the more people made up their minds. Some decided she was heartless. Others defended her fiercely. But the truth is, the image of an elderly man recovering from a life-changing surgery while estranged from the daughter he once adored, that was a picture people couldn't shake off. By the end of the week, the global public wasn't asking whether Meghan would respond. They were asking whether she even cared. And that subtle shift from questioning the facts to questioning her character was devastating. It is a stain that won't wash out. Thomas Jr.'s final line from that interview kept ringing in people's ears. She still has time to do the right thing, but eventually time runs out for all of us. And neighbors, that is the chilling truth. Time is running out. And once he is gone, there is no PR spin that can fix the fact that she wasn't there. So I have to ask you, my friends, my neighbors, my fellow truth seekers, what do you make of this? Is this the final nail in the coffin for the compassionate Meghan brand? Do you think she knew about the amputation and ignored it? Or is Thomas Jr. just lashing out? And seriously, Where is Harry's spine? How can he let this happen? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because I read every single one of them. I want to know if you think there is any coming back from this, or if Meghan has finally shown the world exactly who she is. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment of the madness. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your families close, because you never know when you might need them. Cheers. Ta-ta, and bye for now.